Hey, what's up, guys? My name is Brandon, and welcome to Audio Addiction. We do album reviews, we do band interviews, and now we do a podcast as well that will be going up on our website. So definitely check the description to go check that out, our website, and things of that nature. If you enjoy what we do, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Also, make sure to hit that like button as well. It really does go a long way, and we appreciate your support. If you'd like to be even more supportive, we made a web store where you can pick up Audio Addiction hoodies, t-shirts, long sleeves, water bottles, whatever. That's what we have up on the website, and we hope to be doing more designs as the months go on. So be on the lookout for that. So if we support us that enough, that would be amazing. So definitely go check that out. There's a link in the description for that one as well. But tonight, without further ado, we're going to be talking about Summit's new record, Detox. So I actually found out about this band through my friend Eric. Shout out to you, buddy. I know he's been a subscriber for some time, and now became a friend. This band I actually had no idea about. Shout outs to Kenton for one of their guitar players, who's in the band, obviously. He was the one who wanted me to do a review on it. I know it's been a long time coming, but I've had some other things that I've had to attend to. But I didn't want to skip out on this. So they're a band from Kentucky. I would definitely consider them a progressive metalcore act. So if you enjoy that sort of a thing, definitely go give these guys a look. They just released a new record called Detox like about a week or two ago. So definitely go give this a spin. So I figure I'd break down each track and let you know what my thoughts are on it. I didn't get to track any sort of single or track beforehand, so I wasn't able to put it at the beginning like I typically do. So we'll just get right into the review. The first track is called Caged. I like the ambient guitar intro. I think the screaming is good. I also enjoy the sort of layering of the screams. I think that's very nice. I think that's a great touch. And I know a lot of bands do that, but I think it's definitely noticeable in this track. Vocally, especially clean wise, it reminds me a lot of Spencer from Periphery, and also Lucas Magar, which I do talk about. But more specifically in this track, it reminds me a lot of Spencer from Periphery, which I do enjoy. I also enjoy the lead lines. I think in verse 2, I really enjoyed those. Those, like I've mentioned in copious amounts of reviews, I love checking out the guitar parts. Those are the things that I gravitate towards when I listen to a record. So this was definitely something on my list to check out. Also, this track is very fast, aggressive, in your face, as per most metalcore acts, but I definitely feel like this one is. It almost is like borderline gent, I would say. I would say it's like kind of, again, a mix between gent, progressive metalcore, stuff along those lines. And I like in the addition of guitar solos. I think that's very, again, more gent, progressive sort of stuff. So they're definitely in that realm, but also taking influences from metalcore acts such as like Veil of Maya is kind of genty, and Fit for a King. You can definitely tell that that's an influence for sure. You can hear sort of the similarities of that, and I enjoyed the ending breakdown on this track. I think it was very well put together. So we'll move on to track number 2, which is the title track, Detox. I really enjoyed the guitar work in this track. Like I mentioned, again, it's something that I gravitate towards. I also enjoyed the dark undertones of this track. I think that's something very to notice and to pick out in this track at least. I like the harmonized vocals in the layering. I think that's a nice touch. Again, that's something that I pointed out in the last track, but I feel like it's something to be pointed out. Like I mentioned in the other track, this one has more of a Fit for a King vibe. I think it's more straightforward in that regard, and I think the drumming's great. And I also enjoy how the whole arrangement of the track sounds. I would definitely consider this to be one of my favorite tracks off the record, without a doubt. So we'll move on to track number 3, which is Wolves in Sheep's Clothing. This one is another one of my favorites. I like the sort of like, I don't know, the very spacious guitars at the beginning where it feels very distant and far away, and then it comes into focus and comes into sound. I think that's something that bands don't do a whole lot, so I definitely enjoy that. I think that was something to definitely note in this track. I also feel like this track has some great groove to it. I think a lot of these tracks that I like that are considered my favorites, I would definitely say that they have the most groove, and I feel like I don't know. I feel like they're structured the best, without a doubt. I like the dissonant undertones with some of the chord phrasings and stuff of that nature. I really enjoy that, and I also feel like this one is very more technical and more groovy. So they're getting more back into more of the first track, Caged, in that progressive metalcore sort of gent vibes from that, and I'm really liking the lead work as well. It's always something that I pick out when I listen to tracks. Like I've mentioned in previous reviews and even this one, it's just something that I pick out as well, and I think it kind of accents this whole track in general, and I always love checking out the leads. I feel like this one feels like very much a Veil of Maya and Fit for a King baby had a baby, and this is what it would sound like. I also enjoy the solo. Again, I think adding solos kind of breaks up the track a lot, and I feel like it gets you prepared for how the rest of the album is going to sound and stuff of that nature. And I feel like this track, more or less than a lot of the other tracks, feels very syncopated, very genty. Really enjoyed this one as well. So we'll move on to track number 4, which is Why Are You Dead. This is the first single. This was actually the first track that I heard from them, obviously. And I think it was a decent track. I feel like, again, I like when singles aren't that great per se, or some ones that I don't like, because hopefully, based off of another single or just the whole album in general, it might change the whole scope of things. So I'm almost fortunate enough to say that this one is not my favorite, but there are a lot of tracks already on here that I consider to be favorites. This one has some really great bounce to it. I think it's another crazy sort of drum track. I think the drummer went ham on a lot of these tracks. A lot of the ones that I mentioned, that the drummer is just killing it, for sure. I also enjoy how the cleans and the screams are in this track. Or I don't know how I feel about this, actually. In some of the parts, it almost feels like they just clash too much, almost. I know, like, even in the chorus, you can definitely hear a really strong amount of auto-tune, and I don't know, that kind of bugged me for sure. That's something that, I would hope that, bands don't do too much. Obviously, I know everybody doesn't sound perfect and stuff like that, and that's why they use it. But however, I feel like this one was just very obvious and very blatant. Otherwise, if it was a little bit less noticeable, then I probably wouldn't have said anything, but it feels very blatant, especially in certain notes of the track. I feel like the screams just outweigh the cleans in this album and just this track in general. And then I also like the clean and ambient guitar parts in the bridge. I feel like that kind of accents the whole track in general, especially this one. But getting back to the vocals, that was just something that kind of hit me rough, and that was one reason why I was really hesitant on checking this one out. But I'm kind of glad I did in anyway, because it's been really solid so far. So we'll move on to the next track. This one is called Entropy. It's track number 5. I also feel like this one is another groovy sort of guitar track. Again, I'm liking the guitar riffs. I think that's great as well, and the breakdown is really cool as well. Very Fit for a King like. Again, I think that is obviously a strong influence, and I've talked to Ken for a little bit, and he loves Fit for a King, so it's kind of obvious to see that influence and that thing, but I definitely enjoy it because I am a big Fit for a King fan. So that's something that I could pick out. The lead work, I really feel like stands out more or less than any of the other lead work throughout the whole album. I feel like this one just has this right place, this right mojo to it. So we'll move on to track number 6, which is Clean Cut. I would definitely say this one is one of my favorites as well. I'm liking the clean tapping guitar intro. I would definitely say by far this one is probably the black sheep of the whole album. It feels very different from the rest of it, but in a good way. I like the clean vocals in this track. It doesn't seem like a blatant kind of thing, and I think the clean vocals work very well in this track. I don't know, maybe it was just me listening to it, but I definitely could tell that in Why Are You Dead. But in this track, it was definitely much better, and I think they kind of resolved it. Instrumentally, I feel like this band, especially in this track in general, I feel is the most cohesive. And just I think that's probably why it's my favorite, just because it feels different than the rest of the record, and it also feels the most cohesive. So I'm excited to see if they decide to play off this track. So we'll move on to track number 7, which is Casualty of Empathy. I think this one is another one of my favorites, and they're bringing back the heavy, especially with this intro. I think it is one of the heaviest on the record. I like the sort of spoken word-esque parts, especially near the breakdowns. This definitely has a genty sort of groovy vibe to it, and vocally it reminds me a lot of Lucas from Veil of Maya, and that breakdown in that track, that is 2 thumbs up in my book. Very Fit for King-esque, but still nonetheless really great job, Kenton. I really like the guitar work on this one as well, so I would highly recommend checking out that one. So we'll move on to track number 8, which is Nightmare Reality. I like the change in the rhythm guitar parts. I think that is something different that not a lot of bands do. Just switching the riffs up or switching the time signatures and stuff like that. I could definitely tell that. Vocally, I think it's a very solid performance. I like that the breakdown has this cool sort of dissonant feel to it. I love when bands do that sort of thing. That always gets me. And then the second breakdown reminds me almost like a down tempo sort of track, very heavy, very just in your face sort of stuff. So I don't know if they're influenced by down tempo, but that's what it reminded me of. So I really enjoyed that one. So we'll move on to track number 9, which is Breathe Again. I really like the intro a lot. I think this is probably like the more theatrical, most dramatic sort of track. So if you like that sort of a thing mixed with like metalcore / gent, I feel like this is right up your alley. It's very heavy, fast paced. With a lot of these tracks, definitely enjoy that. But I would like maybe a little bit more spice here and there. I like that they utilize the intro and the chorus. I think that is great songwriting skills and just songwriting structure. I like when they take parts from an intro or from another part of the track and kind of utilize it in a different way. So that's very good. And I really like the breakdown on this one. And I feel like the bass really comes out in the bridge. They kind of give it its own spotlight. So that's definitely something to note. So we'll move it into the last track of the record, which is Pernicious. This one is another one of my favorite tracks. I really like the intro. I feel like this track has a lot of groove to it. It's got a lot of moving and grooving to it. I really like the ambient sort of lead guitar parts. That's something that I've been noticing throughout, almost as if a trend sort of a thing. So I really enjoy that, and I definitely enjoy this sort of genty vibes that this track brings. And I think the screaming and the vocal diversity throughout this track, yells, lows, mids, I feel like that's makes this track very diverse and very one of my favorites, obviously, for that reason. And I would definitely say this is probably my favorite solo off the entire record, without a doubt. I think it was just worked out very well, and I think this track was a great way to kind of round out the record. So I'm going to give you my pros and cons on the record. Some pros: I really like some of the tracks, especially damn it, I'm going to forget the track offhand. But it was definitely, let me look, Clean Cut. One of my favorite tracks, like I mentioned. I like the differences and just the whole overall feel of that track. So I feel like if they added a little bit more tracks like that, it'll kind of break up the whole monotony of the track, which is a con that I have. I feel like it gets kind of boring after a while, and there's no, I don't know, resolve to it, other than Clean Cut, just because it's so different and so off the beaten path. I feel like that's why I love it a lot, just because it is so different from, again, the rest of the tracks. But to me, it feels very monotonous almost, and that's probably why I couldn't give it a couple more listens, just because it feels very, I don't know, it feels very predictable, I would say. And it's not in a bad way. I think, again, it's their first record. They're trying to get to know each other and getting to know the feel of things and that nature. I think it's definitely a really good opener record and just kind of getting it in the mode, but I still think they do have a lot of things to work on, and in my case, I feel like the cleans could definitely use some fixing up. Screams, I think, were really excellent. I really enjoyed the vocal diversity amongst that. And overall, I think it's a really solid effort. I'm not trying to talk shit or anything. I do think it's a solid effort from them. However, I do think it has its rocky parts for sure. So my overall rating for this record would be a 7.8 out of 10. I really try not to give shitty reviews, just because, again, I don't know what bands they were in previously. Obviously, this is most likely their first record, and I think, again, it's kind of to show the world what they sound like and how they sound. So I think in that regard, I feel like they did an awesome job of that. However, just being a listener and an avid fan of progressive metalcore, gent, all that sort of thing, those are some of the things that I feel like they could work on. But again, let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Have you heard of Summits? What's your thoughts on the record? Do you feel the same way that I feel about it? You don't have to necessarily feel the same way about it, but let me know in the comment section below. Definitely go check out their record. Don't let me kind of steer you away from it. I would definitely go give it a spin. If you do like Veil of Maya, if you do like Fit for a King, I feel like, there's something to get out of it and there's something to enjoy about it. I wouldn't say it's one of my favorite records. However, I think it is a good record to start off Summits with. So, with that being said, if you enjoy my review or if you enjoy what I do, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Also, make sure that hit that like button as well. And if you disagree, definitely let me know in the comments. I would really like to know your thoughts on this record as well. And thanks to Kenton for giving me the opportunity to check it out and kind of give my thoughts on it. So without further ado, again, my name is Brandon, and you've been watching Audio Addiction, and we hope you get your fix. We'll be talking with you soon. Peace. Hey guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Of course, if you enjoy what we do, make sure to go check out the other series we do. We do album reviews, we do band interviews, and we do live videos, so definitely go check that out. Hit that subscribe button. It really helps our channel, helps us grow. Make sure to hit that like button as well. Go follow us on social media. That's all down below. We try to keep that as updated as possible. We also made a new website where we'll be posting photos of upcoming concerts and stuff like that, which you can go check out at audioaddictionmedia.com and come get your fix with us, guys. Talk to you later. Deuces.